So after the hundreds of comments telling me on my Honkai Star Rail is actually pretty good video that Hoyoverse does not miss with their Honkai games, I caved and decided to finally give Honkai Impact 3rd a try. Truthfully, I've had this game on my radar for a while, but I'm still not really a gacha guy. I said as much in my Honkai Star Rail video, but if that game was the exception, and if people are telling me that Hoyoverse nails their Honkai titles, the math is mathing. I'm in for a good time. Plus, I heard the game features Asuka from Evangelion, and I like Evangelion. Here's this plush I own to prove it, and I'd love to play as Asuka in a highly esteemed video game. What, huh? Wait, what do you mean her banner hasn't been rerun since 2021? Are you serious? Wait, who even are you? How did you get in my house? You guys already know how these videos go at this point. The title says it all. Honkai Impact 3rd is actually pretty good. If I didn't enjoy it, this video wouldn't even exist in the first place. There's a lot of history to this game. It launched way back in 2016, which is like ancient now, and it's gone through many changes during its lengthy lifetime. Many changes I am definitely not qualified to talk about since I started playing the game like a week ago. However, I did see a lot of ads in late 2023, early 2024 that talked about Honkai Impact 3rd Part 2. Now this is basically what ignited that spark that finally got me to try the game, because everyone knows the direct sequel is always better. Most of the time. I couldn't tell you what Part 2 brought to the table or what it changed, but it doesn't matter too much for a beginner like myself. In fact, I'd argue that the purpose of this update was to freshen up the experience for old players and to also make it easier for new players to get in on the fun, but any Honkai Impact 3 veterans watching this video can let me know in the comments how accurate that statement truly is. This game doesn't waste your time at all. You're thrown straight into the combat and you learn on the fly. At first, I was a little apprehensive about the action-oriented gameplay since I'm primarily a turn-based guy and I suck at these kinds of games. Like, give the controller to a 3-year-old and I would probably get washed. 1v1 me in a fighting game though, then we'll see how well little Tibby does. Anyway, I'm happy to report that the combat is straightforward and easy to pick up, even for someone like me. My preference was to play the game on controller. I found the keyboard layout to be a little awkward for me, but controller was just right. Then again, I'd make any excuse to play with controllers. I play Honkai Star Rail with a controller. Speaking of which, did you guys know you can pause the game with the controller mid-combat in Star Rail by holding down a single button? Just a little fun fact for you guys, and possibly a reason to use controller. I don't know, you tell me. For both Honkai games, the controller support during combat is great. Major emphasis on the word combat though, since in Honkai Impact 3rd, it is just a tad bit clunky when navigating the menus with a controller. Your left analog stick essentially acts as the mouse cursor, and it's not too fast, at least compared to an actual mouse. Realistically, it's pretty hard to mimic the speed and accuracy of a mouse with a joystick, but Honkai Star Rail perfected this later, so Honkai Impact 3rd gets a pass since it was the original testing ground. It feels like the game was developed with mobile in mind, with PC coming later down the line, whereas Star Rail and even Genshin Impact were developed with not only both in mind, but even consoles. To be able to translate a mobile-only game to PC is definitely not as easy as it seems, so props to Hoyoverse for using Honkai Impact as a way to refine their multi-platform strategy in future titles. Other than that, the way everything is laid out is pretty easy to understand. Gacha games tend to have that initial period of uncertainty where you kinda know what everything does, but not entirely, and it wasn't until I reached player level 20 where everything really started to open up. The battle pass, premium currency, the banners, the time supply missions, the dorm, they were all here, as expected. There were even character trials that rewarded premium currency, and holy shit, I ain't reading all of that. They don't hold back at all with these trials. This is how the game is meant to be played. It felt like everything I'd done up until this point on story mode was with training wheels on. It reminded me of when I'd first started Star Rail and didn't really take relics or traces or light cones or really anything all too seriously until I reached a point where investing in them became a necessity. And that's when you start to really understand the game. And since I do see myself sticking with Honkai Impact for a while, hopefully all these proper nouns and skill descriptions and just the general ebb and flow of actual combat and preparing for combat will make more sense in due time. Speaking of story mode, I really liked how everything was laid out. You go from one mission to the next, aiming to get 3 stars on each mission so that you can get all rewards, and it's pretty easy most of the time. You're given a recommended level before you embark, so you can cap yourself at that level or comfortably breeze past it. Either way, it's fairly simple to get all 3 stars. The pacing is fantastic too. Sometimes you get some CG cutscenes, other times it's an RPG style conversation, and they're both spliced with gameplay so your hands are always on the controller. Is that a f***ing skip button? This might be the single best thing about this game. I might actually cry. The best part is, I only ever ended up using the skip button if I had failed to get 3 stars in a mission, because as a reminder, I suck at these kinds of games. But other than that, I would go through the dialogue and watch the CG cutscenes since they never overstayed their welcome. But the fact that there's a skip button in the first place, I mean, that's just incredible. Also, can we talk about the fact that there's a Himeko and a Bronya in this game? I already know about the Raiden verse, but let me tell you, when I saw the name Himeko and then I saw the character model, it was like falling in love all over again. Branya gave me some serious whiplash though. She's not a ruler or empress or anything like that in this version. The depiction of her in this universe is as a robot AI companion thing, but she's kind of chill like that. Also, I recognize that the voice actors were the same across Star Rail and Impact, at least in Japanese, which was the default language when I installed Honkai Impact for some odd reason, but since I already played Star Rail in Japanese, it worked out in my favor. I will say the story is pretty engrossing, and since I'm already familiar with a few of the characters thanks to Star Rail, it makes me more curious what direction they're going to take with these characters in accordance with the story being told. I like Kiana as a protagonist. She's very jubilant and energetic. It's especially funny when you examine her character and she's all like, but her 3D model has this deadpan stare right into your soul. Not a single thought behind those eyes. While we're talking about Kiana, that reminds me. In the opening segment where you play as her, I knew I was in for a good time just from the music alone. Seriously, there are some insanely well composed tracks here. Give a listen to this track in particular. I tried so hard to find out what the song was named, but I just could not find it. Please, someone in the comments let me know what it's called. I'll pin the comment of the first person who can bless my ears with the name of this track. I am so desperate to find out. I know I've barely scratched the surface, but I legitimately like Honkai Impact. It's a bit out of my comfort zone, but the game does a great job of easing me in, so by the time I get to the real endgame and start team building, I'm sure I'll have a way better understanding of the mechanics. Let me know what games you'd like for me to check out in the future. Make sure to like if you enjoyed and possibly even subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. See, my Honkai Star Rail video ended when I got that 5-star on the single ticket. So what if I got a 5-star or whatever the equivalent is right now? I don't know what any of this is. Oh, is that a good thing?